Welcome to Unpacking It All podcast, a space where we unpack every single thing that matters to South Africans, working professionals, and anybody trying to navigate their lives financially as well as within their career journey. I'm Linda Richards, and today we're opening a conversation that's relevant to every single taxpayer, including myself, of course. Now, even if you don't realize it yet, taxes, Sars, deductions, including compliance. Most of us hear these words and we just go completely insane, not too sure what to do or what to think about this. But today we are joined by someone who is an expert in that field, somebody who has the knowledge to impart on us. Today we have Feroza Joossub joining the Unpacked podcast, and to just explain the journey about tax and everything that comes with it. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem.
And exactly as you said, everyone hears the word taxes and SARS and automatically build this intimidating wall between them and get all nervous.
Yeah, that's true. I, for one, get extremely nervous. I know the basics about it, and I know today we're not going to really dive too deep into the technicalities about tax, but just touch base on the basics and just take us through that journey of how a normal citizen who just matriculated, just started working for the first time, how do they go about all of that?
Absolutely. It's so important. You know, those small misunderstandings and the things that people don't talk about just create unnecessary penalties and interest and unnecessary big consequences for people.
Okay. Well, let's dive into it because I do have a couple of questions here. You guys got to bear with me. Tax. That's why we brought it in, because I'm not too sure about what to do with it. So I just want to know, and I'm sure the audience as well would like to know, how long should taxpayers keep their records and which documents are essential during the audit phase and obviously the return submissions?
So SARS requires people to, or taxpayers to retain their documents for 5 years from date of submission.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. So it is very important to maintain those records. Documents such as your IRP5s, your medical aid certificates, your retirement annuity certificates, your travel claims, your logbooks, provision, your pension fund provision statements, items like that. And it's not only necessary for those 5 years for just in case. If for some reason you are picked out for an audit verification or an audit of your taxes, you're also required to submit that documentation. So you must maintain those for 5 years.
So what are the chances of myself being picked up for that audit? Like, is there certain requirements, or what are the red flags for SARS to actually be like, I need Linda Richards, I need to check her out?
So SARS has different requirements. SARS is very advanced these days, so their systems are integrated and interlinked together with other third-party institutions, with your employers, with banks. You're going to buy a vehicle finance, it's all automatically linked. So if the system picks up what you are declaring is very different to what they have on the system, you will automatically be picked up for an assessment. And then, of course, items like a simple example is if you own, for example, rental property and you've always been submitting rental income for the last few years, and this year you have got no rental income, you're not showing any sales of your property, you're not showing any bad debts, things don't match up. Also, lifestyle is very important. The way you lead your life and what you're actually declaring in your tax returns. If things don't match up, then you will be highlighted or red flagged.
So there's like this separate department where they just stalk our socials and see if it matches what's coming in.
I think everyone stalks socials these days.
I mean, yeah, we do, hey? We do. So when should South Africans submit their tax returns, and what deadlines matter the most?
So tax season runs from July to October for non-provisional taxpayers, and then up till January for provisional taxpayers. The deadlines have changed. The taxpayers need to be aware of it. So for non-provisional taxpayers, it would be the 20th of October, and then for provisional taxpayers, the 19th of January. So it is very important to submit your returns on time to avoid unnecessary penalties and interest.
Okay, hypothetically speaking, like I mentioned earlier, we have a fresh human being, just matriculated, and they decide they want to take a year gap, and they start working. Obviously, the company, there's contributions made to tax and whatever the case is. a couple of years down the line, they're still on this year break. What happens if they are not that educated and they haven't been submitting their returns? They have no idea, absolutely no idea that they might be owing, or SARS might be owing them. Like, how does SARS deal with that type of scenario?
So it is important for everyone to educate themselves and to equip themselves. There's enough knowledge out there. There's enough tools out there. SARS has a very updated website where they advise you when to register for taxes or not. When you start working for someone, your PAYE is automatically deducted, and that employer has to submit returns to SARS. So SARS already knows who you are before you know who they are.
Okay.
So your returns would be submitted, or your IRP5s would be submitted to them. There are certain requirements for you to register for tax if you're a provisional taxpayer. But as a employee, it depends on whether you meet the threshold or not.
Okay. So what does SARS look for when reviewing a tax return?
So they look for items such as undeclared income, invalid deductions, missing documentation, and whether, like I said earlier, a taxpayer's lifestyle actually matches what they say on their return.
Okay. And let's talk about a business point of view. I start a business and with hopes of obviously getting business, obviously. But unfortunately, a whole year passes by and I've got no remuneration. I've got nothing coming through, no income whatsoever. But for some reason, I end up owing SARS. How do I clear that debt? Because the company hasn't been making any revenue the entire year.
Okay, so each business would have to register for tax if they meet the requirements for registration. And when they submit, it's still important for them to submit a tax return, even if they've had no revenue, and they would have to submit a zero tax return. But it is still imperative that they submit that tax return, and so that SARS can evaluate it.
Okay.
If they're still owing SARS any funds, it's probably coming from previous years and not that year in particular, depending on, of course, their tax calculations, what other income they've had, and what's in that actual return.
And what documents would need to be submitted for that?
For a business?
Yeah. Would it be similar to normal personal?
Yes. So it's very important for a taxpayer, or whether that's an individual or a business, to maintain all their supporting documents and records. So everything that you submit and that you have included in your return, you must have backup evidence for.
Yeah.
So if you have revenue, for example, you obviously have to have your bank statements, your cash receipts, your invoices, whatever is related to revenue, same with expenses, etc.
Okay. And what is the difference between an auto assessment verification and a full SARS audit?
Okay, so when you submit your tax return to SARS, so when you go online, everything's done online now, and you submit your e-filing return, you would automatically get an assessment. So once you submit your return, you get an assessment, and you get this form called the ITA 34, and that would then tell you whether you owe SARS any funds or SARS owes you any refunds. So when you receive that, sometimes it picks up automatically because they have automatic risk profiling. So for example, like I gave you that example earlier with the rental property.
Yes.
If it picks up an anomaly, it would automatically choose you for audit or verification. So then you would get an email from them to say that you have been chosen for verification, and they request you to submit certain documents. Full complete SARS audit, on the other hand, is when they audit the taxpayer's entire tax affairs. So it could be everything and anything. If it's a business, it could be your VAT, it could be your PAYE, it could be your provisional returns, etc.
Oh my God. It's just like an overflow of information going on right now.
It is, and therefore it is important for us to equip ourselves with the correct tools. And I think we all get so nervous, like I said, when we hear the word tax and SARS, but it's not that scary. It's not that deep, exactly. Once we equip ourselves and we just break it down and we have the knowledge, it's not difficult at all. In fact, with modern technology and with everything being automated, it's so much easier today to submit your tax returns and to do it properly.
That's true. So in terms of, like you just said, the process, what is the correct process of claiming a tax refund?
So in order for you to claim a tax refund, firstly, that probably means that you either paid too much PAYE or too much provisional tax, or your allowable deductions is greater than expected. So you need to submit your tax return. You need to make sure that your banking details on your return is correct. It's been verified. All your information that they requested, if you were selected for verification, has been submitted correctly. And then you would be eligible for your refund if you're in a refund position.
I think that's the part that all South Africans are happy about, like just getting something back.
No, definitely.
I, for one, look forward to doing it every single year because I just can't wait to see how much they want to give me.
I know, it's almost like a bonus.
Yes, it's like unexpected bonus, and especially when the amounts are so different each year, and you're just like so proud of yourself. It's like Sars giving us like a tap on the back, like carry on.
Yes,
Good job.
exactly. And that's another reason to submit your tax returns on time, because you never know.
It's a huge motivation.
Absolutely,
a huge motivation for me personally. I'm like excited about it. So how do I know if SARS owes me a refund, and what determines the payout? I know you did say depending on obviously your payee, if it's quite higher and everything, but is that the only thing they look out for?
So it's a calculation basically that's done at the end of the day, an assessment that's done on what you submit on your return. And if you're in a tax paying position, you obviously have to pay them the taxes. But if you're in a refund situation, they will owe you the taxes. So like I said, once you submit that return of yours, you will the system automatically generates this assessment called the IT-834. It's literally within seconds it comes to you. So you immediately know whether you owe SARS or SARS owes you those funds. And yes, if you pay too much PAYE, so for example, a lot of the time for independent contractors, if they have no other income coming from elsewhere, there's obviously a standard tax percentage that gets taxed from their salary on a monthly basis from the employer. So they always end up in a tax refund situation because they're always paying more tax on a monthly basis than they're required. Obviously, each situation is different. And then, if you pay too much provisional tax, then you would be eligible for a refund at the end of the day.
So in other words, please correct me if I'm wrong, that's why you are here. If I end up for some reason owing SARS, yet I know I pay everything, company does do their deductions, etc. Why? Like, how do I end up owing them when, like all my stuff in order on my end? So how does that happen?
Every situation is different. It's really very individual based. It depends on what else you've got on your tax return.
Okay.
They are very rarely incorrect or wrong in their calculations, and
Technology.
you can see, but it's going to be human intervention. So it's what you inputting onto the system. So there could be an error maybe from your side, but usually, it's always almost on the button.
Okay. So they are. It could be in my error, something that they could rectify and remove from their end.
Yes.
Okay.
So also, like I was saying earlier, SARS has become very advanced. When you as an individual receive your your IRT-12, your return, a lot of it's pre-populated, especially if you're an employee. So your IRP-5 information would be there. If you are giving towards a retirement annuity or pension fund or medical aid contributions, because all the systems are interlinked, your return actually comes to you pre-populated. There's no reason for you to go and amend anything there. Yes, you would verify it to the certificates that you have, but everything's pre-populated. So the chances of error are very slim these days. It's what then you putting in as additional amounts. So for example, if you, that individual, you've got your monthly salary that's coming in, so you're an employee, but you also have some side income coming through. So you inputting additional information there. So it's what you putting in that could possibly lead to some sort of error, and then you need to obviously verify it.
Okay. And typically, how long does the payout process take?
So it's very quick these days. So your refund could come through between anything 72 hours and 21 working days. If there is a verification, so you've been selected to submit some documents or subjected to a full audit, then that could be a bit longer. That could be a few months, several months, in fact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but otherwise it's usually very quick. So if you have no issues and it's just a straight refund, within 72 hours, generally you are refunded.
I'm richer.
You're richer.
I'm richer. Okay. So which common mistake triggers a SARS audit? from our side as individuals?
So if you do not declare all the income that you should, if something is different to what you had from previous years, because remember, everything's automated now, the system's set up to pick up anomalies. So in that rental example that I had given earlier, if you have been always submitting rental income as one of your income streams, and all of a sudden there isn't anything, but you're also not showing a sale of a property, or you're not showing bad debts, then the system picks up, something's not right here. So those sort of items.
So we're just causing these red flags.
Absolutely. It's us that's causing the red flags. SARS, like I said, everyone hears SARS and they get nervous, but it is a law of the country. It's a requirement that we need to adhere to. There's rules and regulations that we need to follow. If we just become au fait with it and equip ourselves, like I said, with those tools in order to complete those returns and to do it properly, we shouldn't have any issues.
We really are unpacking it today, hey? Like I feel like a percentage smarter when it comes to SARS now. I feel like I can just go home now and educate my husband and just be like, you know what? I am the expert now.
Absolutely, you definitely are.
So how does SARS detect an undeclared income? So I get a job. I know mainly independent contractors. I feel like this would apply to them. How would SARS know that I have a contract with a specific provider and I get this amount of income each month?
So an employer is required to submit returns as well for their employees. So every employer would have to submit that return. So SARS already knows you're working for so-and-so without you even letting them know. So
how would they know that?
Because
like I'm an independent contractor and I come and work for you. You don't ask questions, you don't, because I'm an independent, and you just pay the amount into the specific account that I give you, and then...
So when I'm paying you a salary every month, I'm deducting the tax from it. So I'm paying over that tax to SARS. So, and I have to submit my employer returns, and I would have your name there, Linda is working for me.
So they're coming for me soon?
Yes.
In other words?
If you're doing something wrong, yeah.
Oh, no, girl, no. I know. I cannot. I do not want to end up on the other side.
No, you want a refund.
Exactly. I want the richer side, not the poorer side.
No, you definitely don't want to be on the wrong side of SARS.
No. I mean, I've seen, I'm sure the whole world has seen, with all these legal cases that are taking place today, the whole Sondo commissions and et cetera, we see how people lose their properties. They're just getting repossessed. They find out that this was undeclared, and then they just come in, swoop, car's gone, house is gone, and now you just got to start from scratch. So I feel it's such an inconvenience to put yourself in that, and instead of just like dealing with it and pay what is supposed to be paid and carry on with life.
Absolutely. It all boils down to morals and ethics and following rules and regulations. If you do that and do things the right way, you're not going to have any issues.
Wow. Guys, I hope you're listening. I hope you'll understand, and I hope you're taking this knowledge, digesting it, because we really are unpacking it today just for y'all. So before we both go, I just need to ask you one last question. So how can working professionals manage their tax responsibilities more effectively, especially when handling multiple income streams? Because I, for one, would love to branch into that field next year where you have streams of income. So how do I handle that responsibly without, like we humans, we tend to forget, life gets so busy, we got kids, we got this, we got that. So how do I ensure that, all these streams of incomes that I'm receiving are declared?
So it's a matter of organization. Firstly, you need to ensure you're registered for tax.
Okay.
So you need to ensure you comply. And then with all your different income streams, you've got to treat each stream almost like a mini organization.
Okay.
Make sure all your documentation is in order and maintained for each item of income that you have or each stream of income that you have. And then you shouldn't have any issues. Make sure you submit your tax returns on time. You're not non-compliant in any way whatsoever. If you have additional income streams, then you're going to become a provisional taxpayer as well.
Okay.
So you need to make sure you adhere to those deadlines just to avoid unnecessary penalties and interest. If you keep your stuff in order, you keep your documentation in order, if anyone comes knocking on your door and says, how did you get this? You've got the information to back it up.
Yeah.
You're submitting this much of income, show it to me. You just need to keep your stuff in order, be organized, register, comply with the laws and regulations. If you have income streams where it's becoming a bit complex, then I would suggest getting a tax practitioner involved to help you with those complex situations. So a lot of the tax you could do on your own. You really don't need anyone else to help you, because like I said, on the Sars website as well, they have line by line, literally explaining to you what each line means, what you need to include, what you shouldn't include. So it's very self-explanatory.
Okay.
So it is easy for everyone to do their own taxes. However, when it does become a bit more complex, it is advisable to get a tax practitioner to help.
Okay. So any amount should be declared. I mean, as little as what, 300 Rand a day or 300 Rand a week, a month should be declared.
Yes, if you're registered for tax, everything has to be declared.
Okay. Well, you had that moment. We shared this moment. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you.
I've learned so much, especially when it comes to SARS. And yeah, it's I'm still processing. But you heard it first on this podcast called Unpacking It All. Thank you.